Hey, Shalom Akim. First foremost, give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Bashmar Chakodash. Double honors unto the elders, Apostles' Great Millstone, the elders' Great Millstone, and of course, peace and blessings unto the hopeful elect, the sincere servants of Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, serving him in truth and sincerity. Yes, on the brother Chayabah from Z-Man's Plain Tables Camp. Come back with another lesson to his spirit. Yes, this lesson be based off of this from the Washington Post. It says U.S. strikes targets in Iran, citing threats posed to American troops. So it says the attacks in southern Iran prompted Tehran to warn that it reserves the right to retaliate, complicating negotiations to end the war. Yeah, and ultimately, this thing isn't stopping. We know, of course, within the scriptures what war is prophesied, especially within these times. The disciples asked Yahushai what the end days would look like. And what Yahushai proceeded to give them, the signs that they would know that you're at the end. One of the things that he said, of course, was wars and rumors of wars. So again, what ultimately the Lord has put the Spirit, of course, upon his prophets. What the prophesied word against Tehran with the other apostles, Great Millstone, elders on down. This word has been going out to warn our people, the Israelites, so-called blacks, Native Americans, Latinos, also those scattered amongst, these other nations, who might have the appearance of the other nations, but again, still Israelites, still able to take in this word. Still able to repent. Obviously. Because, of course, all Israel has the ability to repent, but of course we understand that only the elect will take heed unto the message that's being preached. So it says the United States launched a new self-defense strikes on Iran, with U.S. military says the U.S. military said Monday night, potentially complicating negotiations to end the war that President Donald Trump launched in February. It says Navy Captain Tim Hawkins, a military spokesman, said in a statement that the strikes occurred in southern Iran to protect our troops from threats posed by Iranian forces. Targets included missile-launched sites and Iranian boats attempting to set mines. A statement said. So, ultimately, again, this thing isn't stopping, and it's gonna keep on speeding up and getting worse. Until what ultimately turns into World War III. We know ultimately again the main thing that we're waiting for. Let's go ahead and get real quick. Let's get Luke 21:7. And they asked him, saying, Master, but when shall these things be? And what sign will there be when these things shall come to pass? And he said, Take heed that ye be not deceived. For many shall come on my name, saying, I am a Mashiach. And the time draweth near. Go ye not therefore after them. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass. But the end is not by and by. Exactly. So the point is that we're in the time of wars and commotions. But it says, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Yeah, obviously the key point is that we're waiting for the implementation of the mark of the beast. Until that happens, the full, all blown out nuclear war won't happen, which is ultimately what we're waiting for. Right now, of course, we're in the beginning stages of World War III. Yeah, again, we're having the U.S. versus Iran and going down the list, basically. But hey, it's not, it doesn't mean that in the next 12 hours from this article being written, World War III is going to pop off, or the nuclear war is going to pop off, and that's going to be it. No, ultimately, again, what we're waiting for is the implementation of the mark of the beast that Revelation chapter 13 and 16 goes into, which of course, is right around the corner. But until it happens, nuclear war, of course, won't pop off. But the point is that it's very near. And we know that, as the elder Apostle Har said, we're months away from this MOTB happening. Could be 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, but however long. The point is that it's very, very near. So obviously it's important to get right now, of course, as we speak. going back to the article, it says Hawkins said U.S. Central Command, which oversees operations in the region, continues to defend our forces while using restraint during the ongoing ceasefire. The strikes occurred after a week of negotiations between the Trump administration and the Iranian regime to bring the war to a close. The conflict began February 28 with massive U.S. strikes on Iran after months of pressure by Trump to end Tehran's nuclear program. A tense ceasefire began April 8th, though it has been interrupted by sporadic changes of fire. So, you can go more into it. The point is that, this thing isn't slowing down. Yeah, going down, skipping down. Rubio said Trump is committed to either making a good deal or no deal. The straits have to be open, he said. They're going to be open one way or the other. On Tuesday morning, the price of Brent crude, the global benchmark, was up 3% to about $99 per gallon. $99 a gallon. So, but oil's going up with that strait closed. And again, the point is that these wars aren't going to stop. It's going to keep on getting worse. So says Luke 21:10. Then said he unto them, nations shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and great earthquakes shall be in divers places, and famines and pestilences, and fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven. So clearly we're in the times where great earthquakes are happening. You can just look at the earthquakes that what took place very, very recently. Again, they're only increasing. Famines, the global famine. But famine, of course, we know things getting harder, of course, with the production, especially with, the Strait of Hormuz closed. We know the famine is increasing. Pestilences, but now we have that new pestilence that came out, 6 years after, the 2021. Now we have a new one. So it says, and fearful sights and great signs should there be from heaven. Exactly. Of course, pestilence basically going to the plagues that the Lord was sent. Doesn't matter if it's, man-made or Esau or doing this. No, the point is that the Lord said it will happen. And ultimately, Yahweh Bashim Yashai controls Esau anyways. So it says, in fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven. So that's the point. Point is that, this thing isn't slowing down. Clearly, we are in those times. Verse 12, it says, but for all these, they shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. Exactly. So we know that that time is very, very near, of the time of the persecution of the prophets. We know, again, they're going to capture the prophets just for speaking this word. That says, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. Yeah, so, certain high members within a society, prisons, that says, synagogues. The point is that what happened? Persecution, meaning Esau seeking to capture the prophets, which of course, to be the men in great millstone. Of course, if you don't bow down to that image, then again, Esau is going to seek to get, of course, even certain, of course, of these camps. Again, Esau is going to seek to get anybody who's against his order. And again, we know it starts with the prophets, the true prophets. But again, Esau is going to go down a list to seek to get anybody. That's why, again, it's important to have the word and to follow 100% truth. Because again, many trials are coming. If, you don't have an armor piece or race to if you don't have the full armor on you, full armor of the word of Yahweh Bashim Yashai, then what? Again, Satan's going to use the weak points in order to get you, of course. So yeah, that's the point. What did Paul say? Have on, the breastplate of righteousness and faith. Basic paraphrasing, going down the list. But hey, obviously be covered with this word. The 100% truth. Because hey, as things are continuing to get worse, we have to get stronger, of course, in the word of Yahweh Bashim Yahshai. Our faith needs to increase. So Lord's brothers out there edified. Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, Bashim Kakurash Pakathum. Shalom.